Okay, so we're doing something different with Brews and Reviews today because Brews typically means we're at a brewery,
Yes.
but we are not.
Because they don't open till later.
Yeah, they don't open till later. And Kim and I wanted to do some writing, but we thought, why don't we go to a coffee shop because that's technically a brew, and we would record our review of The Mummy prior to doing some writing. So we have some coffee. I've got a mocha here.
I have tea.
Tea. Oh, so you didn't actually get coffee.
But
so you broke the...
No. They brewed my tea. That's why it took 3 minutes.
And we're at Waterbean Coffee in Huntersville, North Carolina. Cool place.
Would you like to share your social security number as well?
Maybe I will. I'll give you my home address in case you like to visit or anything like that. Blood type. But anyway, great place. And so we did see The Mummy, and it was released in 1932.
Yes.
Is that what we decided?
Yeah,
okay.
Not decided. That we verified.
We verified. Kim's much better at detail getting than I am.
Well, that's because there's a whole other reason for that.
Is there?
Because you're a guy.
And I just don't get details.
And you forget things, and you screw up the world as demonstrated in The Mummy.
Right. So now this is, I guess, the latest in a series of older films that we've been watching and enjoying. And I told Kim after I saw this, I think this is my favorite of the older movies that we've seen lately. But I don't think it's perfect. There are some things about it that I didn't necessarily love. But Boris Karloff, who I think shows up in a lot of movies from this era.
Yes, I would assume so. Yes, I wonder if I can.
You can IMDb it.
Imhotep.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he's been in. It's not going to tell me all. He's been in a lot of movies.
He's been in a lot of Universal monster movies, I think, and there are more of those that we'll see.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure. Like I think he's Frankenstein, maybe in one of those.
That sounds like it could be a thing.
Yeah. So, and I want to see that in Bride of Frankenstein.
Yes.
Actually, so.
Yes.
Anyway, do you want to summarize the plot of this movie?
Sure. So the plot is that men make bad decisions.
We're getting blamed for stuff.
That's the plot. So I should start the plot by saying that obviously I've seen the Brendan Fraser Mummy.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that it is a remake of the original Mummy. Like, this Mummy movie is the same story, basically. It's Imhotep has been mummified and is reawoken after some men decide to open up the jars and read a spell that they're not supposed to read. We'll get to how he is awoken and all of that, but he wants to resurrect his love. Anaxunamun, they want to be together. And so he starts kind of going about doing that, and of course there's a woman who gets sort of entranced by it all, and I mean that's basically it.
And I'm trying to remember his date of origin. Was it 3700 BC?
It
something?
Was
ancient Egypt.
Yes,
right?
Ancient.
But I think what's interesting about this movie is it's not really that the monster is reawakened and then is a scary monster the whole time.
No.
Which is kind of an interesting twist on the whole thing.
I don't even consider it a monster movie after watching it.
Yeah, I mean, I think your sort of assessment that it's a love story with a lot of creepiness sort of woven into it.
A lot?
Well, I don't know. Toward the end of the movie, a little bit more creepiness.
A little bit more. But there's some death. People die.
But basically, he gets awoken in, I think, 1921, and then it jumps to 1930 something, and it's the guy's son, the original
it jumps
archaeologist.
10 years. And question, where was Imhotep during these 10 years? Does anybody know?
He was getting his degree in archaeology, I guess, to be a curator in a museum or to do something.
I don't know, because all of a sudden he just shows up, and I'm like, oh, he's still around. Okay.
He shows up, and he knows a lot, obviously, about ancient Egypt, and I guess he's working for the museum or something?
No, I just interpreted that he was, so he says that they cannot dig up their own graves in a sense.
Okay.
So I interpreted it as he knew they were digging up and basically gave them the clue to find her tomb because he couldn't dig her up himself.
Her being, was it Ox? I can't remember.
Anaxunamun.
Anaxunamun, okay, right. So he wants her to be reawakened because that's his love. And so that's basically the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And I will say Boris Karloff does a good job of being Imhotep and just sort of plotting around and being...
Yeah.
He's knowledgeable, obviously, about the things going on and kind of leading them in certain directions, but there's kind of a Dracula sort of vibe where he's able to project and control and that kind of stuff.
Yes. And as far as the mummy, it's not, I would say there's not really a mummy. he is a mummy at one time in his tomb, and then after he's awoken, he pretty much just looks like a person with more wrinkles.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, he looks better later in the movie than he does when he's first awakened.
Yes.
And the guy freaks out and is screaming when that happens.
Goes crazy and dies. Of crazy.
Yeah, so that's the plot in a nutshell. And of course, there's sort of a larger trend that we've seen in a lot of these movies where basically the men do make dumb decisions, and there's a central woman character who the men have to step in and save, essentially, right?
Yes.
So I think you're totally correct again that it's a love story, and I think because of that piece of it and the fact that it's not a traditional monster movie, I kind of appreciated that. I liked it. I mean, I like that part of it. I really
like the first half of the movie.
Yeah, it's an hour and 15 minutes or something. It's not overly long.
No, but it felt like it.
That was the issue I had. I think in the back half of the film, it started to drag a little bit. Yep. There was just a lot of dialogue-heavy stuff in it, a lot of talky scenes, a lot of, did he burn the scroll? Did he not burn the scroll?
That's hot.
The tea is hot.
The tea
is that your first sip?
Yes, it is.
My mocha has cooled down significantly.
It's very hot.
I mean, my overall takeaway from this is I think if you enjoy movies from that era, or you just want kind of an education, what was an early version of The Mummy, I think it's worth watching.
It is, and especially if you do like the Brendan Fraser movies,
which is vastly different than this.
Well, yeah,
right. I mean, do you like it better than this?
What?
The Brendan Fraser Mummy?
Yeah.
I do too. Yeah. I mean, that movie's great.
It is great.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see where that story originated from, because it is the same core story. It's different characters going about, but there's still the woman who gets sort of entranced or connected to an Oxunamun and stuff like that. So it's interesting in that sense for sure.
Yeah.
And I thought a lot about Creature from the Black Lagoon as I was watching this, because I do feel like there's a lot of parallels in not just men being dumb, but this whole like the knowledge versus fame. Because before they open up the box they're not supposed to open, one guy's like, we're purely doing this for knowledge reasons, and one guy's like, no, but think of how famous we'll be. And I'm like, does that become the crux of all of these early movies? Not all knowledge versus fame. What is the goal here, and how does fame, lesson learned, how does pursuing fame result in death?
Do you think that's okay? So, kind of getting back to the idea of guys being really stupid. Do you think that was one of the messages, or do you think?
Well, I don't know. I don't think
is that giving it too much credit in 1930 something?
Yeah, in 1932 they would not say guys are stupid. That would be me making this movie in 2024.
Right.
I think they are saying something about knowledge versus fame, just like Creature from the Black Lagoon was. And I also noticed they get a warning, just like they did in Creature from the Black Lagoon. There's always something that happens before to be like, don't do this. It's not going to go well.
Yeah.
And then they still do it. And then you're like, okay, now it's really going to go downhill.
So now this is shifting gears a little bit. From a directing point of view and lighting, I love the lighting in this movie.
Yeah.
So putting the plot and everything aside, I think visually this is one of the more interesting movies, besides Nosferatu, which that pioneered a lot of stuff.
Yes.
And I really appreciated it for that. But I think the shadow play, and even the close-up shots of Imhotep when his eyes are glowing and that kind of stuff, that was super cool. I kind of appreciated that.
Yeah, they did some interesting choices, and especially when they had to do the flashbacks or whatever, when he would that, and when he is sort of watching scenarios from afar play out, I thought was interesting how they did that, using almost this pool of water.
Yeah, like a reflecting mirror.
Yeah, to see things happening, I thought was really interesting. And so it had eerie, supernatural elements, but I assumed, wrongfully so, that there would be more of mummies in the Mummy.
As the name would imply.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was definitely limited in that regard to just the one mummy.
Just the one.
Well, I guess technically he's trying to get, Oksana Manu, whatever her name is.
You'll get it someday.
Probably not, honestly. But he's trying to get her. She's a mummy. He's trying to get her.
Yes.
So, okay, maybe you can clarify this for me. So, the present day female character, the woman, he sees her and makes the connection that she looks like her, or
I don't know that it's even that she looks. I feel like
she's like an ancestor, maybe.
I think it's just the spell.
Okay.
He's like doing this spell to reawaken, and is she just the closest woman? I don't know. Like, to me, and I felt like that came from her before it came from him. Like, she felt drawn to the museum. She felt like she needed to go there. And then he comes to the house and they see each other and they're like, wait a second. I think this. So I didn't see it as like he had this direct influence on her, but more she was drawn to the supernatural that was happening near her.
Well, didn't they? I feel like at some point one character made a comment about her being like half Egyptian.
She is,
or something.
yes.
So like,
yes.
I don't know if there was like an ancestry thing that caused him to be able to do
this. Yeah, I do
this,
think there was like a cultural connection that did, draw on that because of who she was. Yes.
Although now that I'm saying that, he controlled several other characters that were clearly not Egyptian. Like, I mean, the guys, like he just made them have heart attacks or whatever happened at different points.
He can control people from afar.
Yeah.
Yes. But that's where I guess maybe her connection, I don't think it was him. I think it was the spell, and then because she was in the vicinity and half Egyptian or whatever, and a woman, she became part of it.
Right. So, now, was there a sequel to this? I feel like there might have been, but maybe in the 50s, or maybe it was another remake. I don't know.
My phone hates me, so
we'll look it up and figure it out. But so while we're thinking about it, so again, my recommendation would be, like totally watch it, but maybe don't expect the best thing in the world. But I did enjoy it, despite the fact that it lagged a little bit.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the first half.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a sequel.
Yeah, I should have. See, we talked about maybe I should bring my computer out, but it's fine. It's all good.
They can look it up. They have the
you can look it up. You have the internets and the Googles, and you can find it. And that'll be good. Now Kim wrote down a lot of no's because she's more prepared than I am generally. But okay, so what other things did you note that we haven't talked about yet?
So like that's where so this is where for me it digressed is not a scary movie or a monster movie and more a love story, because even after they open up the box, like I guess I compared it a lot to the Mummy that we all know and love. There's like this immediate threat and this immediate danger. The guy that dies from going crazy, he just because he sees the mummy move.
Right.
Imhotep does not attack him. There is no physical vengeance in the moment for them opening up this box. It really, I think I wrote, so he's not a mean mummy. He just wants his stuff. And like, that's what it is. Like, he's not attacking anyone out of vengeance. He just wants his stuff back.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it.
Which is fair.
And there's no like scarab, like the beetle things from the Mummy, And I will say, even though I like the 1999, I think that's when the Brendan Fraser Mummy came out. Whatever,
probably.
Mummy. I like that Mummy more. I still think the Tom Cruise Mummy is the worst of the mummies.
I have not and will not be watching.
So there's that. If you've seen that or not seen that, I wouldn't recommend that one.
I'm not going to do that. No. At one point, I'm pretty sure the girl says to him, "Your power." No, a guy said it to him. He's like, "Your power is too strong," and I wrote, "Is it?" Because like they so, and it was before he caused someone to have a heart attack, and so at that point, I had not seen a demonstration of this power. I was like, "Is it strong?" He just seems like an intimidating guy. And then he caused someone to have a heart attack. So I would have liked maybe more of his influence on others in like a physical, aggressive way.
Yeah.
Earlier, before acknowledging that he has power, because I didn't think he did.
Yeah, I mean, the only other person I can think of was sort of his like servant guy who was in the chamber with him, which I don't know if that was like somebody he just took over and commanded to come do things with him.
Yeah, because the guy worked for the other people or whatever, and he mind controlled him. But again, that was all like very later. I would have liked earlier indications that this guy has some sort of very physical influence on people. And then I wrote, "Aw, love saves the day." Because I guess the love that this girl and her new beau have for each other is what brings her back at the end and prevents her from going into the afterlife with Imhotep. I don't know, but they just met. I just really.
Right. He's got mummy issues. Really, right? I figured I would try to work that in some way. Yeah.
So maybe that's what I what I like least about the movie is that we're supposed to believe that these people that just met have enough love to bring her back from the afterlife. I don't agree.
Right.
I don't appreciate that.
Well, the thing is, I feel like if this were remade today with the same idea, like it's not a scary movie necessarily.
No.
And they kind of did some stuff with the script to make it a little less draggy and kind of honed in on the powers a little bit more. It could be, I think, a really cool movie, depending on who directed it, you know?
Yes, true. Yeah, I do. I think it would be interesting, and I think they could flesh out the characters a little bit more and give it some depth. But then I feel like it would almost become like what you were saying earlier. It's like a vampire movie.
Yeah. Which, again, Nosferatu is getting remade by Robert Eggers, like, right now. Like, I think it's already in post-production. Like, Which, I mean, it's got a good cast, so
I'm sure
I'm hoping it'll be good. You know, who is it? Willem Dafoe?
Yeah.
Like, different people
It's got good people. Yes, it does. So I don't think they could remake it today.
The Mummy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the best they could have done is what they did in 1999.
Yeah. That was, and again, there's been some chatter about Brendan Fraser making a sequel again to The Mummy. Like, what was there 3 of them originally?
2 with him, I think.
Okay.
And then they went like Scorpion King.
Oh, that's right. It was The Rock. That was in it. Yeah.
That was The Rock.
Some of the worst CG ever put in a film.
Oh my god.
Like, it's like legendarily bad CG. Like, everybody talks about it all the time.
Very bad.
So what are we watching next? Are we doing Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, or I don't know, like
any of those? But I also would very much like to do The Invisible Man.
Okay, we could do that. And somebody, Sarah, one of my friends, requested Lisa Frankenstein.
Oh yes,
I don't know how long it's going to be in theaters, but we could, try.
I'm a little salty about that, but that's fine.
Yeah.
I guess we could watch it.
Yeah. You're salty about it. Why? Do you want to elaborate
because
on that?
I'm writing a stage adaptation of Frankenstein, which I've been working on for years, and now all of a sudden everybody is making Frankenstein adaptations.
Yeah.
And I'm just
I've read Victor. I've read it, and it's awesome.
And that's what I'm going to work on right after this.
Yeah. And I'm working on my next book too, so it's almost done, almost there. And I saw one of Kim's musical productions
that I directed.
That you directed.
The last 5 years.
A few days ago. And it was great. It was awesome, so I'm just going to brag on you a little bit.
Oh, thanks so much.
Awesome. Yeah.
So that one more weekend if you're in Concord, North Carolina.
Wherever you are in the world, if you're in Concord, North Carolina, then you can check it out.
Fly on into Concord and see a local community theater production of the last 5 years. You won't regret it, I think.
You won't. So we'll be back soon with Lisa Frankenstein and or The Invisible Man and or something.
And Winnie and the Pooh.
Oh, that's right. Blood and Honey too. Like literally in a few weeks.
Yeah.
It comes out. So, and we're going to subject ourselves to that, which will be awesome.
Are.
So
Lots of stuff.
Okay, cool. Well, anything else, Kim?
Just, I guess my parting thought is don't be stupid.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that's a wrap. Because
no, I'll leave that
we
to
can
you.
only put mummy puns in here. Okay.
That's your job.
Okay, all right. Everybody, thanks for watching.